What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, going through the latest Detroit Lions news. And today, we are here to take a look at some of the all-22 for the Lions offensively last week against the Giants, how they handled some certain situations, some good, some bad. And then also, we're going to be taking a look at the final injury report for this game tomorrow against the Bills on Thanksgiving. So let's get it started.
Fired up. It's made a great decision.
Great teammates, coaches, and other people who want to be Super Bowl champions. And we are. We're going to do it this year.
And we're going places because we want to go places.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here, and we're back. And I'm excited. We have a final injury report on Wednesday because the Lions play tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I think that's normal. I thought it used to be 12, but maybe it's always 12:30. I don't know. Also, I heard Tony Romo's doing this game, so for anyone that's excited about that, there you go. Maybe you're not excited about it. I don't know. We're also going to talk a little bit about this Bills team. It's a short week, so it's been a little bit strange for me. So I've done as much digging as I possibly can on this team in a short amount of time to just try to get a sense of what they're going to be bringing to the table. I mean, I know that this team can score. I know they got Josh Allen, but what are they really bringing to the table? And just a couple things that maybe I expect to see maybe schematically from each side and how I kind of anticipate some things might go. So with that, let's start off with this final injury report. For now, let's take a look at it. We'll start with the Lions side on the right. I did not put every day up there, but I just put their designation. Also, for the Bills side, if a player is not on that injury report, it means they're in for the game. All right, so just putting that out there. Now, if they're on IR or something, that's not what that means. But if they were on the injury report and they're not on this, it means they're playing. But starting with the Lions first, we got some bad news. Let's just get it out of the way. Evan Brown, the right guard for the Lions, is out for this one, as well as Jonah Jackson, our left guard. So those are the two, of course, that I think you circle, and you're like, that's a problem. Now, when you look at this defensive front for the Bills, they got some guys. I mean, aside from Von Miller, of course, the guys that are going to get these matchups majority of the time, and also with some of the games that they're going to run up front, are the Ed Olivers, the Tim Settles, the Daquan Jones. I mean, it's a good interior defensive line. I really like the depth that they have. Their lines are going to have to do things to try to keep guys off of Goff when they look to pass the football. Now, of course, like most quarterbacks, Goff has been statistically great when he's not under pressure. 103 passer rating, I believe that's what it is so far this season. But we know with these two guys out, we would expect Dan Skipper to get the nod at right guard. The Lions have that option. They have Logan Stenberg, and they also have KO'd, who played 8 snaps this year, and it didn't go very well. Logan Stenberg hasn't been very good in pass protection, like at all. He's been pretty awful, actually. But when he's played for us, I believe he's played at right guard. So I would anticipate that Logan Stenberg gets the nod at left guard, and at right guard, we see Dan Skipper. We did elevate the center off the practice squad, whose last name I don't even try. His name is Ross. I ain't trying his last name. Also elevated James Houston, which we'll talk about in a second here, which is kind of interesting. But for the offensive line, that's going to be a problem. So I expect some things that Lions are going to have to do here. One big thing is, hey, don't fall out of this game. Okay, when we talk about the injury report, you never want to be in a hole. But at the same time, this is a game that you really can't find yourself in a massive hole late, because if you're having to go down and score multiple times, you need chunk plays, you're going to put yourself in a bad spot having 2 backup guards, because it's just one of these things where they may hold up, right? Dan Skipper has good reps like last week when he came in, but there's also a bigger chance that it's not going to be a great rep. So with that, I expect some things that we did last week, rolling the pocket a little bit and sometimes bootlegs, rollouts. Also, Lions leaving in a guy to help pass protect on play action. That has been a big part of Goff's game so far this season, and it's been a big part against the Bills as well, play action. Now, they're pretty smart in the back end, but I would expect to leave Kabinda in there to pass protect. Jamal Williams, who's been fantastic, and I'm talking about from the running back position, not from tight end. Slide protection may be something you also notice, but helping those guys out will be important. Getting the ball out of our hands, which is always important, can be a major issue, but it can be minimized as well, specifically in the pass game, if we keep this game tight, if you keep it tight, because I do think there's ways that you can attack this defense, get the ball out of your hands quickly, and have success, especially with some of the guys that are where they're missing. So I don't look at this as like a game breaker, but it can turn into a game breaker if you allow it to be, because you're down 31-10, and you're like, all right, let's get back into this. That's going to be probably an issue. I can say that with the explosiveness they have, you have potential to break runs on this team. But with the Lions, run blocking, which has been pretty unique so far this season, I would anticipate that you're going to get some power runs, specifically because you have a guy like Logan Stenberg, who is great in that area, and also Dan Skipper as well. Like, I don't think you're going to want to see the Lions do a ton of zone blocking to or away from Dan Skipper if he's starting at right guard. Besides, he can struggle a little bit with some of the movement there. So I would anticipate some more power run blocking from the Lions in this game, but to keep them honest, because they like to get upfield, you saw a team like the Cleveland Browns, they brought out the delayed run. Okay, I don't see that very much anymore. Shotgun delayed run, he's holding it, and then he hands it off, picked up 12 yards. Broke it outside, picked up 12 yards. Lions did mix in, some whams earlier this season, a couple weeks ago. The tight end, basically offensive lineman gets upfield, the tight end crashes down, they pick up the block, and now you're up to the second level. So things like that, I think, expect to be mixed in, but I would look to the power rushing attack a little bit with their aggressiveness, but also to fit to your player's strengths in this one when it comes to running the football. So I do think you can negate some of the loss of these two, but it is some massive loss. Charles Harris, he's out for this game, as well as Josh Paschal, which is to the point of having a guy like James Houston be active for this game. Don't know how much we'll actually see him play. I mean, the Lions have really 3 guys that are probably going to be above him, I would expect. Now, what he does give you, of course, James Houston, we haven't seen him so far this year. He didn't really do much in the preseason. He gives you a little bit more of that quicker option, a little speedier option potentially in sub packages than a guy like John Kaminsky would bring you if he was trying to rush the edge. But I would anticipate you probably won't see him much defensively, probably just depth purposes. They try to get us into some of the action, some of the read action, like you saw the Bills, the Giants do at times with John Kaminsky, where you put a guy athletically kind of in a tough spot there. James Houston could be interesting, but then of course you have a guy like Julian. So I would anticipate there's guys above him. We won't see him much defensively. They do try to put our guys in the action a lot, opposite of Hutchinson. Then maybe you'll see a little bit of a look from him just for the athletic side of things, the speed to get out on the edge and contain a little bit better, and maybe some sub packages, but I don't think we'll see much. Jeff Okudah's out for this game, concussion protocol. Now Dan Campbell told us Amani would be mixed in there with Mike Hughes. I look at this Buffalo Bills team, and I haven't seen them play everybody this year. I've seen them play Miami a little bit. I've seen them play this Browns team. I've watched a little bit of their film, and I think it's interesting that one thing that's a key takeaway, if you want to talk about keys to the game, I know we're kind of all over the place, but we can just hit it now. One of my major keys, I would say, is, win the turnover battle. That always seems obvious. So you win the turnover battle, you give yourself a shot. Josh Allen has thrown a lot of interceptions, but then you flip it around and you say, okay, well, hold up. The Bills have forced 13 interceptions, whether it's Jordan Poyer having 4, Matt Milano having 2, Kyrie Elam having 2. Like, they get a lot of turnovers in the back end, but also Josh Allen will throw you some. And it's interesting because you look at how those take place. Historically, well, at least through last season, he's one of the best quarterbacks under pressure and having success still under pressure. Some of that has the ability that he can run. He has a big arm and all those types of things. But he has had some interceptions this year where you're like, okay, I don't know what happened there. Like, the dude was right there, he threw it right at him. Or you have a guy run the wrong route. That kind of thing can happen. But I think when you talk about this turnover battle, of course, for us, we have to protect the football, which if you fall behind, you're going to start throwing interceptions because you're going to start forcing passes with pressure that's going to get there. It's going to equal interceptions. That's just what's going to happen. But you flip it around, I think you're wanting to keep this Bills teams into long drives. You look at the Miami Dolphins. They had a 21-19 game with the Bills. Not the prettiest, but the Bills don't time possession. 40 minutes of time of possession. But they had some extremely long drives. Josh Allen threw the ball 63 times, and they were up 14-7 in the first half in that game. So it's not like they were trying to climb out of some massive deficit. But of course, that comes back to run defense. But I think you try to extend these drives. So the more I look at it, there is kind of 2 ways you can go about this. Do we get super aggressive and say, all right, let's get Josh Allen in trouble here? I have a feeling the Lions will play maybe a little bit more to the Brown style. On first down, they roll a safety into the box, potentially post-snap, more cover 3 looks, help against the run. And then all of a sudden, because that's what got them going and that's what Dan Campbell's anticipating, if you get them into a second down situation that's 2nd and 5 and beyond, now you start to see a lot of too high looks, and that converts into cover 4. That converts cover 2, cover 6. You start to get that look, and that's to kind of avoid those over-the-top shots. And again, the same thing on third down, where third down is interesting. I will point this out. I think it's interesting against this Bills team. Stephon Diggs is the place that he goes first, and I don't think he actually had Diggs in that Dolphins game, which was kind of massive. But that's the place that he seems to look first, especially on third down. And the Browns seem to definitely go into some man coverage, some cover 1 looks, have a spy up, 3-man rushers, and I think that's fine. Rush lanes comes back into play, which luckily the Lions have been challenged with. But I think on top of that, Stephon Diggs is a guy that you circle. Now, that doesn't mean you have to double team him, because I think especially if you show double team pre-snap, he's just going to go elsewhere with the football. But if you do try to single coverage him, look to get pressure off the side that he's aligned from, right? Whether that's running a game towards that side, bringing an extra rusher from that side, what the Lions have done, bring the slot cornerback blitz from that side, kind of fill around it. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily blitz. You could drop someone out on the opposite side, but I think it's important to try to sway him away from that direction. Cut the field a little bit in half, which the Lions did against Justin Fields. It's a different matchup entirely. But I would just say that that's kind of how I anticipate the Lions to maybe handle this a little bit, trying to limit those big plays, make make these drives goes on, and then hopefully Josh Allen gives you one. For some reason, he gives you one, and that has happened. Winning the turnover battle is probably maybe the most important thing in this season, as in a game. Probably this game is win the turnover battle. But I anticipate that, yeah, Amani will probably get some looks, especially if they go to the zone coverage, which Mike Hughes, by the way, he was pretty fantastic in cover 4 against the Patriots. That's a different matchup, but he was pretty fantastic in off-zone coverage. But then you flip it, I think Jerry will probably get a lot of the matchup with Diggs in this game. Josh Reynolds is questionable. That's probably one of the more massive ones offensively because of the fact that he has practiced the last 2 days in limited fashion. Now, they're walkthroughs, so they're projections, so we don't know for sure. It makes me feel a little bit less good about it. But if Josh can play, and I'm saying play more than like 3 snaps, if he can legitimately play in this game, and he had 1 day of practice last week with DJ Chark, who you can see full participation, and he's in for this game, and I anticipate he'll get more than the 8 snaps that he got last week. Now you start to open up this offense again. Guys on the outside, back to what you had earlier this season, indoor, and the Lions has had some success putting up some points, and I think they could absolutely do it, especially if this game stays relatively tight throughout the first half. Frank Ragnow's in, which is massive, and he can help out some guys. Melk Rodriguez is in, and DeAndre Swift is in, even though we've had some other guys kind of just running things. But what's big about that is what you saw against the Bills, putting him in the slot, putting Justin Jackson in the slot. When we were limited, they did a lot of that work. The jet sweeps, it wasn't just handing them the football. They did a lot of different alignments for us because we were lacking some options on the outside, and getting those guys back indoor will be massive. And I do think if you stay on schedule, you can give them some problems. I mean, I'm watching this Bills team, and I'm circling number 30 saying, okay, Dane Jackson, you try to isolate that guy, you have an opportunity. Now, if you try to isolate him with Josh or Chark, I like my matchup. I really do. The Browns every once in a while will bring out kind of the quick, 3-step under center passing game where you get the quick curl on the outside to one of those 2 guys against some of that, off coverage look pre-snap. But some of those looks, right? You have Elam on the other side who's going to play, as you can see by the Bills injury report. But there are guys that you can attack in this back end, and specifically, I circle linebacker. You can see on the left, Tremaine Edmunds is out. But I think this could be massive. Now, they got Matt Milano, who's ridiculous. I mean, he's just incredible. He has 2 picks this year. Could have had another one. He's great. But the opposite of that, there are matchups. And I think you start to look to that slot. This team is not afraid to drop into zone coverage. They're not. Now, they don't play the most zone. They're kind of middle of the pack, I believe. But they're not afraid to do it, especially early downs or against spread. So Chark and Josh, if you're trying to isolate these corners who are young, now you say, okay, look, they're going to want to probably mix in some zone coverage here. So I look at those guys and say, what have the Lions done extremely well this year? Attack zone coverage with Ben Johnson, and specifically attack those underneath guys and just put them in conflict, right? You have kind of the underneath drag route, and then you have the dig over top with, here comes Khalif Raymond with an over ball over the middle, and now it's like, okay, now they're causing confusion. And there's a lot of guys that are like, where do we go? And then you get the ball out quickly. It's 1, 2, 3, bang. And that's where you're at. And it helps Goff make quicker decisions. So I circle that and say, well, that's where they attacked. Quick slants. Jacoby Brissett, all over it. Quick slant. Boom. Got it. Go. These backup linebackers are not the best from what I've seen. 43, 53, Dodson, Bernard. I think they're attackable, especially when they go into some of that zone. So I think the Lions can match up. Like, I got excited watching. Like, oh, we can match up on this team if we can keep this thing close. And I do think that, we got absolute potential. Some guys are going to have to play above what we anticipate. I think the guards are going to have to play above maybe what we anticipate. I think Chark's got to play more than 8 snaps. He's got to be a legitimate threat for us. But if that is the case, now I'm saying, well, this thing could get interesting. And then on the left, of course, you have the Bills. Josh Allen will play. Edmunds is out, as we touched on. Elam is set to play. AJ Epinesa, doubtful for this one. Morse, who is their center. Their interior offensive line has not been fantastic this year. Whether it's Morse, Saffold, or Bates, not great on the interior. And, of course, Ali McNeil, who had his best day last week. I mean, statistically speaking, he was pretty incredible. That is an area where you say, okay, we can win a matchup there, because the Bills did sort of kind of go to that run game with James Cook, who had, I think, 87 yards last week, and they kind of looked at that a little bit. And I will point out, I'm going to touch on it a little bit more, but the misdirection runs seem to give them a little bit of some juice early in that run game. The misdirection runs, Browns getting upfield and then bouncing it for like 9-10 yards. And I do say that, well, we can win the matchup there. And if you can do that, like the Giants, maybe not to that extent, but when you shut down Saquon, I like our ability to win on the interior again this week, which is an advantage for us. But then it comes down to the Bills knowing that, saying, all right, we're going to attack it to the outside just like everybody has the last few weeks. So now the pressure goes on the James Houstons, the athleticism of a Julian Okwara to help us contain, the Will Harris, who's been really good at helping us contain, the cornerbacks, Jerry Jacobs, who's been great there, but Amani has to be willing to stick his nose in and help us out. I saw plenty of interior runs, but if the Lions do give some cushion on the outside, it's really going to emphasize potentially some of these edge players. So that's where you look at James Houston and some of the athleticism to help us contain and force things back inside. Gregory Rousseau's out, and Jordan Poyer, who's been very good, he is in for this game. I'm interested to see this. I do think the Lions in ways can absolutely match up with this team, and they actually have advantages in areas. It's not as cut and dry as, well, they're not good against the run. It's not like that. They're a good team against the run, actually. They're pretty darn good against the run. I think a big part of that is they can force negatives. This is not a team that's going to slot 4 yards every single carry. They will give you negatives because they get upfield so quickly, and they're very disciplined with their gap integrity, and they got guys that win on the inside. Tim Settle, he's good. Daquan Jones is very good. They got Ed Oliver is good. And as you're talking about backup guards here, creativity, keeping these guys off balance is going to be massive. Once they get aggressive against this run like they did against the Browns, you have those delay rushes where guys are just taking off upfield, and now it's an issue. So with that, let's take a look at some of the all 22 from last week that we saw against the Giants. Just a couple specific plays I wanted to point out and some situational things. All right, I won't spend a ton of time on this play because this one for some reason decides to glitch out. I tried to use my drawy thing, but the draw thing ain't working. So, just kind of try to follow the mouse here. Some will probably pop up as we're doing this. But I did want to kind of just touch on what I talked about the zone coverage. Lions been very good against it this year, and I think they've done a really good job using pre-snap indicators to decide what kind of look they want to go in. We've made a lot of audibles at the line of scrimmage. Thought in particular this game, we used that a ton. What we saw pre-snap, we adjusted, we audibled into certain plays to try to find matchups. I thought we did it throughout a lot of the game. On this play, I just want to showcase real quickly because it's going to glitch out and not really show you that they go into this cover 3 look here. Safety rolls down to this underneath zone, and just kind of how the Lions have done this all year. I mean, there's nothing really crazy new with these concepts. They're very similar, but the timing of when they use them and the way they just put defenders in conflict where it's like they got to do this or this, and it gets them into trouble. So here they take Justin Jackson. We talk about these backs kind of rolling into the slot, and that's what they did in this game. So Justin Jackson in the slot here is going to run the flat, and then he's going to break it out into like his wheel route up the sideline. Tom Kennedy's going to run off deep here, take this outside cover 3 corner deep with him. Then you also have Khalif Raymond who's going to run and sit down over the middle, and then you're going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown who's going to run this drag underneath. So you'll see how that puts these defenders into conflict. Hopefully it doesn't freeze out. It's going to freeze right there. Let's see if I can pause it. Okay, well, it looks awful, but the other plays won't look like this. The point is, though, first off, Goff's first look, let's actually try to do it from his view. But his first look is going to be to that flat towards Justin Jackson. Now, against certain types of coverage, he can throw that pass. We've seen this against different types of looks defensively. You can throw that ball, and then he breaks it off over top. So there's that with it. It's not like he immediately just takes off upfield. He looks to him. He looks there. And Goff's first read goes there. Now, what that does in this defense, because you have the 4 underneath defenders in a normal cover 3 defense, is it takes that underneath flat zone defender, it pulls him out of the play with Justin Jackson as Goff's eyes go there. Now with Khalif Raymond, who is releasing upfield and then sitting down over the middle, is going to take this hook underneath zone defender up the field, and it's going to allow St. Brown to be open up underneath, as you can see here. And then, of course, he could fake that, come back, but it just opens up St. Brown for an easy 5-yard pickup. And those are the kind of things the Lions have done all season against zone. And, of course, good pass pro, good time in the pocket. The ball gets out relatively quick on that. He doesn't have to hold the ball extremely long. It's like, okay, boom, boom, go. And it helps the offense, and the Lions have been very good against zone. I think that's really interesting, and this isn't the best play, but I do want to point this out because you're going to see a few, is that the Lions and Jared Goff has actually been pretty outstanding against the blitz. Now, I think his statistics are actually very similar to what they are normally so far this season, but last season, he was one of the best statistical quarterbacks in the league across the board statistically. I said that twice, my bad, against the blitz. That doesn't mean pressure, that means against the blitz. So when team brings 5 or more rushers, Goff has been fantastic going back to last season against that, his completion percentage, his passer rating, but what Ben Johnson started to implement, and we've seen again this season, is helping us find answers to those, right? You got to put your quarterback in good situation. They bring 7 rushers, and you're asking them to throw a deep pass. You're going to have problems there. But they found answers pre-snap, and this one, there's a couple. They don't always work up ideally. You think they're going to show something defensively, and then they drop out, and they do something different. I guess that happened against the offense on the deep shot to DJ Chark, and that can happen, right? So it doesn't always work out exactly how you look, right? The slot cornerback here is showing blitz, so playing the numbers game, okay, this is going to be open to Swift, but of course he's going to drop out and take Swift, but still you have 2 lead blockers and are kind of going to tunnel this up with their offensive lineman here on a 3rd down and long. So this one doesn't score a touchdown, but you hit this quick flat here to Swift, protects Goff because he gets the ball out before getting hit because they just have too many guys to block. And then, of course, he makes one guy miss, and now you have blockers. The issue is here Khalif Raymond actually misses his block. He doesn't do that very often, but he does here, and you're short of the 1st down. Now, unfortunately, because of what the Giants did, the best place probably to go with the ball would have been to the left, where they actually blitzed and they had 2 guys playing at the sticks. On this side, you can see that they ended up actually dropping out, so Swift gets some contact there. To this point, why I don't believe that we're going to see a ton of blitzing from the Bills against us. Why? Well, again, they know that we have 2 backup guards in, and it could definitely change. This may not be right, but I think they won't blitz us a ton. We have 2 backup guards in the game. We have DJ Chark, who played a handful of snaps last week, which is going to be massive, and Josh Reynolds, we'll see how much he plays. But knowing that as the Bills, I got to believe they're going to say, look, we're not going to blitz them a ton, because all that does for us, especially on early downs, third, it can be a little bit different, even though we still found ways to pick those up in this game, is that if we blitz this team a ton, all we're doing is giving them holes in coverage. Where we feel like we could probably win more of these matchups and we can get pressure without having to rush, it makes sense that we wouldn't blitz you a ton in this game. Because if you do, all you do is create holes defensively. And since the Lions have done a pretty good job of finding those holes and attacking them, then all you're doing is just giving them something that we don't feel like they necessarily should be able to have if we just played a base defense defensively. But now you're bringing rushers, they find the holes in coverage, they've been good at that, and now you're basically playing into our hands. So I don't expect a ton of blitzing in this game, but that could be false, and if it is, the Lions have done pretty good in this area. Another example of doing pretty well in this area. Again, they're showing blitz here. This is a 3rd down. This was not the best pass from Jared Goff, but they do blitz off the edge here. They bring 4 rushers and actually 5 with the cornerback blitz, so it actually creates an extra number for them. But the Lions go to the tunnel screen once again. This time it's Khalif, right? And we know he caught this, got back up, and still picked it up. So what they're showing pre-snap, they drop out, they shift it a little bit. 24 drops deep middle here, but then you get this slot cornerback blitz, which actually creates even more numbers for us, as they're asking Kayvon to get all the way up there and help them out with offensive linemen getting upfield. You can see the numbers that they create on this play. The throw is definitely not the best, but Khalif comes up with it, goes to the ground, but gets himself back up quickly, and now all of a sudden he's got a 1st down on a 3rd down. I thought this was super interesting. So this is another 3rd down. This one was called back. This was the Penei Sewell holding that they got him on. He was like, oh, I just barely grabbed him. But I thought it was interesting how the Giants played this, and this is part of the reason I say, man, it's going to be massive to get back guys like DJ Chark and Josh Reynolds to playing, more snaps than what they have. So what the Giants are going to do here is they're actually they rob their safety down to a cover 1 look defensively, but they don't just do that. They bring their robber down, and actually he just double teams St. Brown. He doesn't look anywhere else. He double teams St. Brown on this play. He's just going to search him out. Watch this safety on this play. He searches out St. Brown to go double team. Now, look, he could have helped a lot of other guys out, but he just searched that guy and said, look, we're taking this guy away on their 3rd down. They're going to have to beat us somewhere else. And that's what defenses will do, but it's creative, but that's what they're going to do. So what you also see here, as the Lions did a lot of this, they created bunches to try to create releases, right? Get guys off the line. So what you also see here, as the Lions did a lot of this, they created bunches. Now, from these tight bunch alignments, it creates a lot of things, of course. It gives receivers 2-way goes. It helps create leverage, matches for the Lions in run games. You get different defensive personnel on the field. In this case, we're not going to take a look at it, but I do want to point out, if you watch how the Lions utilize leverage here, of course, you have your press defender, you have your inside leverage, your outside leverage. The inside leverage is going to run to the flat. Then you're going to have Khalif Raymond, who's going to break up the seam here, who's going to end up taking the defensive back that's playing outside leverage, and he's going to get in his way because Tom Kennedy is going to sit down and run a jerk route. So he's going to curl and then run a jerk route. And if Goff has time, that thing is wide open because of what they create against man coverage, which is super difficult, especially when everybody has a 2-way go. Goff doesn't have the time to go there, but it's wide open. A pre-snap, he may have noticed this on film, I'm not sure, but seems to know it's man, is what he's going to do is seemingly audible St. Brown, Swift, into a route that we know is very tough to cover, that angle route out of the backfield. So without having a safety actually over the middle to help out because he just chases down St. Brown, this angle route gets him one-on-one. Now this is a defensive back, not a linebacker. It doesn't actually open up, but it's these kind of things that the Lions have found. Right there, it's covered up. So Goff pulls it down and takes off for the 1st down on this play. Now, he didn't have the ball in his hands that long on this play, and that's because of the pressure he decided to take off. But just thought I'd show it off and just how a team attacked us. You can see the swagger walk, but then he realized it was a flag. He's like, all right. But hey, I'm cool with bringing that out. How about this? Now, this is a blitz on this play. They're actually going to bring the safety that they rolled down here to go into like this cover 3 look. They're actually going to blitz him off the edge. So they're going to blitz. This is not straight up regular zone coverage on this play. So they're actually going to bring extra rushers on this play. A team like the Giants, you're like, all right, look, this is a team that is going to blitz. So for us, if we roll guys out, we can create openings on their defense because they're just bringing guys after the quarterback. We slow down that rush. We allow guys to develop the routes a little bit more. We kind of cut the field in half on ourselves, which is the downside, but they're also blitzing a lot. Now, if the Bills are not blitzing a ton, may change it up. But I think even with the backup, guards, you could still find ways to try to help those guys out a little bit. Maybe you go split backs and you're saying, look, We got DJ Chark and we got Josh Reynolds back. That helps us out. We can trust them a little bit more to win one-on-ones. Now we say let's keep a running back in consistently to help us pass protect, right? Let's bring a tight end in motion, have him sit in and block. Let's walk a guy up to the line. There's different things you can do. Here they motion over DeAndre Swift, and here's where you get that, design kind of roll out. The pressure's in his face from the blitz, but of course that leaves a hole in the blitz, which again I just spoke to. If a team can get pressure on you without having to blitz, why would they blitz a ton? Well, that's why I don't anticipate maybe we're going to see a ton of that, because here they blitz. All it does is create a hole in the coverage, and Jared Goff's like, okay, I'll take that money. Now, we ended up actually not getting a first down because Swift fumbled, and then he picked it back up short of the first down. But the point is that's how you can create holes, and there you go. You found a hole against the blitz, which, again, where our lines have been very good. We'll point out with all these tight alignments, of course, you're keeping more of these defensive backs closer in the box, which does not help your running game out of these packages. But at the same time, you don't have these outside receivers that you normally would. So getting a guy like Chark back and Josh Reynolds definitely can spread you out, and that's why the Lions wanted guys that went outside. That way they don't have to live in these tight alignments. Also, on top of that, you're looking at a team that's blitzing a lot. So I think it does make a lot of quicker options for the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands without having to make it travel super far. Being very good in those spots. Here's another zone look the Lions get defensively, and it looks like a cover 6 kind of here. That's what I wrote down. I'm not really sure. I wrote this down a couple days ago. But you get a zone look defensively, and it's just another way the Lions look to attack that. You get a too-high look defensively inside the 20 here, and let's take a look at the route concept again. Now, this is where I get interested because I know the Lions could create, matchups, and they could find holes in coverage just like the Browns did against some of their linebackers when they like to drop. And you can see how you create that space for Justin Jackson, and this is not by blitzing on this play. You create a hole for Justin Jackson over the middle just to sit down. He's running a drag. He breaks it down because of his own coverage, which is why it's a little bit off there. But he breaks it down his own coverage. So you're going to run basically like a deep corner route here from Khalif Raymond. He runs the drag underneath. Dig route here from you get a dig route here from Brock Wright. You have St. Brown run up the seam, and then you have DeAndre Swift wheel it outside. And then again, let's take a look at what this does. In this kind of defense, you're going to have your two, primary underneath, defenders in this hook area, and all you're doing is putting them in conflict. Goff's eyes start right, so that moves this linebacker out of the play, but then you also have 2 vertical releases on this play, which is going to take both linebackers and shift them out, plus you have the running back running a wheel route, so that's going to take the cornerback. So basically you're occupying everybody on this play, and you're moving that with your eyes, and then when you come back to it, because the inside linebacker, he's going to pass it off to the most inside linebacker with Brock Wright. This linebacker with St. Brown running vertical, he's dropping towards that. And then the eyes here are taking the cornerback. Now when they switch, now you can see the hole that it creates in zone. And then you open it up and boom, sit down in zone. Let's go, first down. We're here, so we might as well show a good chunk play. We might as well show one, right? I mean, we're not always great, but we might as well show one. Again, another blitz on this play. This cover 3 look, which is why the cornerback on this play is basically switching this off to nobody. It's a very similar concept. They do not do very good with this. Clearly, they messed this up, right? Alexander picked something off. They messed this up, but having Kabinda back is nice because, of course, he poses a threat, but he also can help our guys in the interior. Pulling guards, right, helps sell the run. It's why we got Kabinda wide open, because he's being utilized as a lead blocker. And when we did that and he was actually matched up one-on-one, him as a lead blocker, looking like he was going to block, the guy that was matched up one-on-one with him in man coverage, he goes to, hit him, right, because he's taking on that lead block, and Kabinda just sidesteps, he whiffs, and all of a sudden he's wide open. So that's a threat the Lions utilize to their advantage. They're kind of sliding the protection here, which is why I talk about slide protection. You can do that, and then off the backside, you're sliding that protection. Now you have Kabinda kind of come in and help seal it up, as well as the tight end on this play with Jamal Williams leaking out of the backfield, who takes this underneath defender as usual. With it being that type of coverage defensively from the Lions' tight alignments, I think it actually helps, because Khalif Raymond getting upfield so quickly from this spot really forces that cornerback to get up in his hip. And then, of course, St. Brown has way less ground that he has to travel before he can get across the field and get underneath of where that cornerback is supposed to be. From wide alignments, it gives them a little more time to see that potentially, see that coming, and switch it off. And it's a similar concept, right? It's really 2 routes. Boom, you go deep. The ball's really never going to go to Khalif Raymond, but it can. He runs deep, runs his guy off. Cornerback has no one to pass it off because of how fast Khalif gets upfield with that speed, how threatening that is. Safety's dropping to get depth, and now with how hard they actually bite on this run fake, St. Brown is completely wide open for 32 yards. Really crazy to this one, but you do get an off coverage look with 2 high safeties. I think this comes with film study, but it's very simple. All Goff is going to do is take a quick short drop and then hit a really quick curl route here with St. Brown one-on-one. This came after the flag, which was the block in the back by Penei Sewell, and with the cornerbacks playing soft, covered 4 look defensively here, right? That quarters look, that umbrella look, then Goff quick I think that was a 1 or a 3-step drop, and he hits St. Brown. St. Brown breaks the tackle and actually gets us back in a position where we end up scoring. Then we go to some more rollouts, getting us outside the pocket in the red zone. It's one way that we did it against their blitz. Again, if they're going to blitz, okay, we'll roll them out in the red zone, right? We're going to roll them out and find holes and try to create some problems where you don't know who's who. And I can't tell you for sure how Goff knew to go here with the football, but I can say with the little bunch, they're creating that tight bunch once again. Look at how the defenders are lined up. This definitely gives you the sense that it's zone coverage because, first of all, they don't have 3 defenders there unless the edge rusher is going to drop out, and that's where you can look to attack. But it definitely gives you a sense that, yeah, this is probably zone coverage because they're not really aligned in man coverage. But this is something that they will do. So being able to recognize that pre-snap, being able to recognize that they're in a cover 4 and quickly find that boom with how soft they're playing in the back end, expose that, have him make a play afterwards, and now all of a sudden, on time, on target, you pick up a big chunk, which sets you up to actually end up scoring. Look, I won't spend a ton of time on this play, but I did just bring it up, so I gotta show it. And as you can see, the guy that's matched up on Kabindi here, he goes for him. You can see the little short motion pre-snap, which I think is interesting. It definitely takes your eyes, but it gets him kind of a lead start right through the gap for sure. It keeps him clean, and then you're gonna see here as the linebacker goes right for him to take it head on, and he just basically sidesteps that, whiffs that. It doesn't happen. It should have happened. But you got an open guy by utilizing some of what you show all game. You set up, and then boom, you go right by him. It's cool. They're going to blitz on this play. This is a 3rd down and 9, so this is also a crucial down. And I think part of the reason is saying, okay, Lions like to do this. We'll show them that they have it, and then they're not going to have it. But kind of what they do is they're going to overload this right side with the blitz. So they're kind of forcing and kind of cutting the field off a little bit from Jared Goff to try to stand in there as the Lions run their dig route with Khalif Raymond and St. Brown working vertical on this play. The Lions love to do this on 3rd and long situations. But that's not what it's going to do. They're actually going to overload. They're going to blitz this left side, or if Jared Goff's the right side, they're going to drop out. Here you can see the edge rusher drops out on this side. They're also going to drop out. It looks like a defensive back here. Now they drop into cover 4. They drop into a cover 4 blitz, which yeah, the dagger route that they run could still beat this, but with this guy getting depth, now that's kind of going to be covered up. Plus you're forcing Goff out of the pocket because you're overloading that right side. If they don't pick it up, he's not going to be able to throw this pass all the way back here, and they know that. They're going to take that pass away from us. And now, of course, on Tom Kennedy's side, that's really the guy that you're saying, okay, you know, that's the guy that's going to end up getting open. You see this live, and I thought, you know, did they drop a defensive lineman and man him up on Kennedy? It's not what they did. It was zone coverage. But Jared Goff reacted to this blitz well. There's the blitz, but understanding what they're doing offensively, as they take this away and drop everybody that way, Goff moves away from it. Jamal makes a good pickup, extending some of the time there, but he moves away from the pressure, and then it's Tom Kennedy as everybody else is dropping into this cover 4. Here's the deep drop by the edge rusher on this play. Now you get a defensive lineman on Tom Kennedy on 3rd down and 9, and that's the matchup that you want right there. Of course, he's not going to be able to cover him out of the backfield or on the drag here, and that is a massive pickup on 3rd down and 9. Now, here's what I talked about, utilizing pre-snap looks and kind of attacking those. We did that a lot in this game as it went on, but here you get, again, another bunch look, and we're going to show man coverage defensively on this play. You can see the linebacker out here, the running back kind of can be usually a tell of that. Usually not dropping in his zone if he's manned up with a run. If you're on the running back on the outside, he's probably not dropping in his zone. He could, but it's probably not. So they're actually going to man us up on this play, and with that, Goff decides to attack the bunch, and it's just going to be St. Brown who's going to get off coverage from who he's matched up with because of how he runs this, kind of sits behind everybody, works out late, and then at the same time he's going to break out. That's the guy you want, and it's simple, and you pick up the 1st down. Now, with the defense playing this bunch in man coverage, Lions are creating leverage here for St. Brown as they're going to have the flat route taken by, of course, the underneath press defender, and then you're going to have the inside release by James Mitchell is actually going to be taken by the outside leverage defender, and that's because St. Brown releases very slowly, kind of walks himself up. Then the inside leverage cornerback on this play, or defensive back, that's who St. Brown's going to get matched up with. He's also going to jab inside to really sell that and try to create that leverage and then break outside on time, and just well done utilizing the bump. On this play, this actually doesn't look like a bad read. This was the near interception, but when I look at it, I don't think it's a bad read. There's probably other places you could go with this, but you get this motion across from James Mitchell. They show man coverage. You can see they switch. Well, he doesn't switch, but he follows it over. So they show man. Still could be a drop in his zone, but it's not going to be. Also, since we're talking leverage, watch how the slot corner is matched up on Khalif. He starts to shift outside leverage because there's no other receiver on his side once James Mitchell leaves. So now he can really funnel everything inside, which creates that inside step for Khalif, not only giving Goff the look of man. What the Lions are going to do on this play is they're going to have swift swing out of the backfield. Now, here we go. We get the man look defensively. Then you're going to have St. Brown basically kind of fade out and sit down in a deep curl here. And then you're going to have a deep kind of over dig route here from Khalif Raymond. from Khalif Raymond, which is where he's actually going to throw this football, and then Tom Kenny's going to drag underneath. Goff gets his man coverage on this play. The issue is that this guy who's in the off-man coverage on this play, issue is with the cornerback playing outside leverage one-on-one, is that the problem becomes, as you can see, he's manned up here on the tight end. The problem becomes is he's not supposed to be making a play on this. You would think, he's going to kind of work his way down, but Goff's kind of throwing this into a window. He's got Khalif Raymond one-on-one against outside leverage, and he's like, look, I'm going to put that on him. I'm going to make this drop back very quick. I think I like what I see pre-snap. You can see that, and I don't have a problem with throws like this. You like what you see. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You plant, and he's letting that thing fly. There's also pressure on this play, but I don't have an issue with that. You like your matchup. It would have been a good matchup, too. He got the guy that he wanted. He's got Khalif Raymond isolated on outside leverage, one-on-one coverage with a deep safety, and he fires that thing, and unfortunately, the guy that was actually covering Tom Kennedy almost picked it off, which is not what you anticipate at all, right? I mean, that's just... It's like, dude, that was not supposed to happen. But I don't have an issue with the read on this play. He looks right, maybe trying to hold this safety. It doesn't really work. But the single high safety, if he starts to move, Khalif catches this, he could be gone. But I like the read on this play. And the ball looks like it would have been on target if that guy wasn't there. But I don't have an issue with that because that guy's manned up on Tom Kennedy. You don't really anticipate that's going to happen, but it did because he was running a drag. A rollout we talked about, third and short. They're actually going to go to man. I couldn't tell live. I thought they were doing zone. But it's man. You can see how everybody's lined up pre-snap here. The thing is they actually switched this off pretty beautifully. The Lions are going to roll their offensive line to the right. A linebacker still breaks through here and actually gets pressure on this play. But they switched this off pretty perfectly in their back end, so there's, they kind of cut off Khalif Raymond, who is the initial read. Now, Goff rolling right here. He's waiting for St. Brown to come out the break. This is where the ball should go, of course, hit St. Brown on this play. Decides not to do it. I think pressure had a little bit. He looked like he was going to throw it right there, but he didn't love the separation there. He pulled that down and decided not to throw that football. That's a pass that, that's where the ball has got to go on that play, is to throw that corner route to St. Brown. But they do cover it up. They switched this off really well. He's looking for Khalif. That's switched off well. Now he's looking on to St. Brown. That's where the ball's got to go. But with the pressure, and he doesn't love the separation created there. Now, hey, this is DJ Chark. He might be more open. He's bigger. He's wider. You throw more to the sideline. But he also decides to kind of just throw this thing away. He's like, I'm not going to try that. And he throws it away on that play. It's here with the defense. There's a lot going on here, sort of. All right, looks like they're going back to cover 3. They're going to actually blitz their safety who's rolling down. They're going to blitz him off the edge. So they got 3 underneath defenders. These outside corners have 2 guys that are going to mesh underneath, kind of drag underneath with St. Brown and Khalif. So they're not going to try to carry that through all the traffic. They're going to switch that off. They're going to play outside. Lions are going to have their inline tight end, Brock Wright, release vertical. Jason Cabinda with the play action play fake is then going to get into the flat, which is going to take their underneath zone defender with the blitz. It's going to take him out of the play. So you're going to see that. Watch this. Let's see. He jumps on the play action and then takes that out of the play. Now, as the release is vertical here and he gets upfield, Brock Wright is going to run like a corner route. It's going to take this outside corner. So he's like, all right, I got it. Switch it off to him. He's going to take it. Well, then this linebacker gets caught in a really tough position. Tied in with the play action, which gets him to bite upfield. Now you have 2 guys dragging across each other. He doesn't see Khalif Raymond with the play fake. He doesn't see Khalif Raymond dragging. So if there's no play fake, he may see this and be like, oh, we can switch this off better. He doesn't see that. He sees St. Brown in his line of vision as Brock Wright has worked upfield. It's almost forcing him to see that St. Brown is crossing the field. So now as he gets out of this and gets spun around, he's like, okay, I got to find St. Brown. Well, what he doesn't realize that Khalif Raymond is also going to be running drag, and again, the play action bites this linebacker. There's no communication because of the Brock Wright release upfield, and now this guy is covering the same guy, and you could see how that creates confusion. And again, the cornerbacks, they're kind of taking them out of play, running so underneath, and this creates 21 yards. Let's take a look at the linebacker here, 54. I'm not sure exactly who that is, but watch him on this play. So he's up here with the vertical release, then he switches it off. He's like, oh, there's St. Brown. Okay, let me go help out there. He's running across the field, and then you can see, oh man, there's another guy dragging underneath. This linebacker doesn't see it. He's underneath of both of them because of the run, and now the guy's completely uncovered, and that's Khalif Raymond with the underneath defender being picked up, plus the blitz. Again, there's the blitz, but guess what? The blitz, all it's doing is it open up the wide open guy for us, because as you blitz on this play, yeah, there's pressure on Goff, but there's someone also that's wide open. And you see Goff looks off the cornerback, comes back to it, takes the hit, and delivers. So I say, look, being a quarterback that's going to stand in and deliver passes, you can do that. But you have to know where you're going with the football. And in this case, he knew where to look with the football. Also, I want to believe the alignment's important here too. Khalif Raymond a little bit wider than St. Brown. He's got no traffic on his side with tight ends. So that linebacker kind of just lets it get behind him. Meanwhile, St. Brown really tight to the line of scrimmage, really next to the tight end. He is right in all the traffic, and he takes the attention of the linebackers. Khalif is able to sneak behind. There's the play fake. Boom. Okay, I'm looking off this corner. Here's the rusher that gets through. That's cool, but I'm going to deliver. Boom. 21 yards on this play. Awesome design. This play, I won't spend, too much time because, I don't want to be here super long, but this extending the play by Goff on this one. He's actually going to extend this to the right, and he's going to find an open St. Brown. Now, they go the bunch on this play. This guy keeps looking like Penei Sewell. That's not Penei Sewell, but he keeps looking like him to me. I think that's Chark. I don't know. I think that's Chark. He's going to run a deep corner route. Now, we saw a similar thing last week. Not the same exact thing, but similar last week, I think, or was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe 2 weeks ago. Lions covered this up a little interestingly here in the bunch, but I think what they're trying to do is keep the outside leverage defender with St. Brown. That way they can bracket it in with the safety that's double teaming him from the inside on this play. But the deep corner route against a man coverage single high safety, that's where he's looking to go with this football, it seems initially. Holds his safety middle, then he comes back to it. Now he's going to come back and throw it later, which was not open. Well, it didn't stay open. But he's going to look for this deep corner route, and actually that may be Khalif Raymond. Yeah, it's Khalif Raymond. And I get the sense that Khalif Raymond is the right place to look because he gets matched up with an inside leverage defender because seemingly they are double teaming. But he ends up falling down. So where he comes back to is, again, safety rolling down into the box here on this play. They're manned up, running back manned up, and they're going to utilize an extra defender to double team St. Brown. You could see he's the guy that's going to rob underneath, but he's not helping here. He's double teaming St. Brown underneath. So he double teams him. But Goff with pressure from Dan Skipper, that's, something you're going to worry about because you take away that initial read. Now you got to create. He creates something off schedule on this play, and even though they double team, St. Brown continues to work with it with Goff. He finds him, puts it on him, and on a 3rd and long, you pick up a first down, just extending the play. Now, there isn't a lot of options on top of that. You don't have a ton of options that you're also utilizing. You're trying to, just create matchups against this team. This can be an issue. Dexter Lawrence is a good interior pressure guy, but to extend the play, find him and open it up. Again, similar cover one look defensively here. It's actually Khalif Raymond where he needs to go with this football, but again, you get the deep corner route here with DJ Chark. He likes his matchup one-on-one, tries to hold the safety and come back to it. Now, Khalif gets wide open because they cause confusion. Look how they release. They release in a line. And because that the guy that actually ends up releasing inside very late there is St. Brown. Well, the inside leverage defender's there, but so is the outside leverage defender. Because that they end up crashing into each other and no one takes the guy that releases into the flat because they basically release in a row. But this would be fine. To throw kind of a jump ball here to Chark. I think that would be fine. It looks like a jump ball fade, like a fade corner. It'd be fine to throw this jump ball, but then the safety's back into the play at this point. Just maybe not the best decision. And I think he was feeling himself a little bit. This was 3rd and long. He's looking at it saying, look, there's no other route that's going to get 3rd and long. I got a one-on-one with Chark. I'm taking that. I'm going to hold the safety. I'm going to put up there. I never really had problems with that. This one probably more on a line would have helped out. He throws kind of a jump ball here. Khalif does get wide open. They break down in coverage. He does get wide open. He would have picked up the first. Point being is that I don't expect a ton of blitzing, but there could be. The interior is obviously going to be massively important. Getting DJ Chark and Josh Reynolds to play more consistent snaps, I think, is going to be massive. But I'm excited, man. I think indoors, this is one that I think the Lions have advantages. They just got to keep this game relatively tight. You can't fall super behind because against most teams, that's the problem. But against this team, it's going to be a very big problem because it's your interior, and it's hard to protect your interior. And, basic pass protection is very difficult. You can try to slide guys, try to move pass protection, try to hold extra guys in, but it's tough getting penetration up the field because it really limits where a quarterback can go. And for the Lions, they don't want to be in that spot. So for us, I look at this and say, okay, Lions got a shot. Keep it close. Keep this thing competitive early. Force long drives from Buffalo, right? I think that's going to be the game plan. Now, Aaron Glenn's aggressive. He may say, forget that. We're going to get aggressive and try to get an interception. And it's like they're going to score quickly. He may go that direction. There is definitely multiple ways that he could go with this. So we'll see. But I kind of think that they're going to try to say, let's make these drives, let's make them work, and then Josh Allen may give us one, and dial up a timely blitz, and he may give us one, and let our interior try to work on the inside. And if we get him in 2nd long, drop 2 deep, and then we can see if he'll give us a pass, and that may happen. But I anticipate there's going to be a lot of scoring in this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.